We spent all summer renovating our backyard from this disaster zone to this less of a disaster with a lot of work for spring, but we're done for the year. At least I'm done. My husband still wants to fix our ugly fence before he'll start working on the next project, so let's do a recap on everything we've done up until this point. We started prepping the ground in March to make this area a garden, and we had no idea the amount of work we had to do for the grass. We thought we would just be able to lay down some seed and focus mainly on the garden and have this done by summer. We also didn't realize that tilling wasn't always necessary. We mainly did it to level out the ground over here, but it mostly just kicked up a bunch of weed seeds. But our main goal was to move the shed from the other side of the yard to the little corner over here, because we didn't know it yet, but our entire shed was getting flooded every single day. I chopped down these bushes that were against the fence and they fought back, but in the end I won and I got them down. And this is what it looked like when I was done massacring the bushes. Much cleaner, much better. And we decided to build a pond. Looking back at these videos, I definitely should have noticed that our yard was flooding, but I just thought it was a problem with our own sprinklers. I did not realize at this point that our yard was flooding. This is when it started getting really frustrating. Our entire pond kept filling with water and I thought that it was still our sprinklers. I didn't think that the neighbor's sprinklers were causing this big of a problem. The pond would go through a cycle of filling up, drying out one day, we'd have one day to dig, and then it would be filled the next day. And honestly, I should have caught that it was their sprinklers because I don't think our sprinklers were even running at this point. But now we have a bigger pond. In between waiting for the pond to dry out, my husband started building the garden boxes out of reclaimed pallets, and in the beginning we were very ambitious. We separated the rocks from the dirt so that we had rocks for the pond, dirt for the garden boxes, and we did this for the first 2 boxes. In May, we were finally able to lay a tarp down so that we could make sure the flow of the water in the pond was going the right way. And it worked. It was great. I thought we were going to be able to put the liner in. But the next day I went out before 7 a.m. and found our fence completely flooded from our neighbor's sprinklers. So we had to take a break from the garden to figure out what we were going to do with the rest of the yard. And the first thing we did was move the shed, which we were planning on doing in the beginning, but it just never happened until now. We also emptied out the shed that my grandma has had for probably over 20 years. We tried to give it away on Marketplace, but nobody wanted it, so we just ended up destroying it and taking it to the dump. Decided to fill in the part of the pond that was closest to the fence so that it wasn't flooding in from there. And by this time it was June and it's hot enough to kill our grass. It does this every single year. So after doing some research to figure out why our grass dies every year, we realized that our soil is crap and we had to till the whole thing. This took my husband a couple weeks to finish completely because he had to go over it about 3 times fully for us to get deep enough. So he tilled down about 3 inches, and when he was done, we pulled out all the big weeds that we could and covered the entire thing in composted horse manure. He also fixed our sprinkler system and did 1 more round of tilling before completely flattening the yard and laying the grass seed. By the time we got here to actually laying the grass seed, it was the end of July, and a lot of people, including myself, didn't think the grass would really grow because it was too hot. But now with the soil at least covered, we were able to move on to the garden boxes. And after 2 months of neglect, this is what the garden area looked like, completely destroyed and covered in weeds again. My husband got the sides on the second garden box so that we had somewhere to move the dirt. The rose bush in the corner gets covered with Virginia creeper, so I completely chopped it down to try to find the roots of the Virginia creeper, and I was successful in getting 2 of them out. Hopefully that's it. This is how much water had collected in the pond from